How to increase your win rate, and happy new year's guys. Hi, my name is Ben, aka Kitty. So some of you might have seen my videos on War Robot's YouTube channel with the how-to guide. I'm kind of continuing that on my own channel now. So that's a little bit of intro about myself for those who are new to this channel, and this video is all about increasing your win rate, and I will be discussing several tips, and those tips are basically things that you can do on the battlefield to help you win the match basically. So let's get right into it. Let's check out the first one. So now the first one is understand how enemy attack. This kind of broad topic, I guess, but for example here, as you can see, a lot of Nightingale pilots, he likes to move into the beacon. Normally people just heal in the beginning, but once they see an opportunity, they like to move into the beacon, and their cooldown is very short. Ability duration is very long. So if you see Nightingales, you really understand how they kind of work. And for example here, we were trying to defend the center beacon. While I was checking where enemies were, I could definitely sense how they were gonna attack. They were kind of gathering on beacon C, and understanding that, I locked them down. By locking them down, they would actually waste their ability because they wanted to defend their robot. They have to wait until the lockdown goes away, and that kind of buys time for my team to kind of spawn in certain places to defend this beacon. So I kind of wanted to title this as like have some awareness, but I really wanted to be specific. So really understand how enemies attack, how they kind of move. General awareness of that will help you increase your chance of winning certain matches. Now, to win more games, you really have to have certain position. In other words, don't give enemies strategic position. Now, I ended up getting like roam like 5 times in a row. So both of these clips are roam. I got this beacon. I'm defending this beacon from attack from the center, from their home, and from this position. So when you're brawling, when they're actually trying to defend against someone that is sitting on this beacon, this player using this cover will be super annoying. Allowing enemies to shoot at our team from more different angles is just not a good thing. And even when they approach this beacon to actually overtake this beacon, this player here will take out a lot of our teammates without losing his or her bot. So I really like to take them out when I can. Now I kind of have to explain this one. Anticipate enemies' first pick and counter them. So when the meta kind of settles in, when the trend of strong bots settle in, especially at the Champions League, you kind of know what people are gonna run as their first pick. In this case, it's usually like a Phantom or Blitz, something fast and tanky to get that first beacon, especially in the beacon rush. And because of introduction of overdrive and balance unit, also heavy armor unit to make their bot last longer on the beacon, less people run the anti-control module, which prevents you from getting locked down. So I was able to lock this player down from far away by using lockdown module, and my ability comes back, so I'm able to use my ability again now. So you kind of have to predict certain things to get like an edge over enemy players, and there are definitely trends of what people are running as their first pick, and you can definitely counter them by, in this case, locking them down and getting the beacon first, or you can counter them by running like a counter bot, like anti-tank bot, to just kind of destroy their robot. In this case, in power plant, a lot of people like to rush into beacon B because a lot of people think that once you get beacon B, it's easier to defend, especially in beacon rush, because you can spawn in there. So by running, I was running the Hawk and landing at beacon A in order to kind of get into safer position, wait for my ability to charge up again and attack them, and hopefully I could take out a robot that my teammate is having the most trouble with. And I think this kind of comes with like experience, and I think it's definitely worth paying attention to this tip by like anticipating what enemies run as their first pick, because you're getting an advantage straight off the bat. Attack where you have advantage. So it's kind of similar to like don't give strategic position to your enemies, but there are definitely certain places where you have advantage. Now in this situation, when all 6 enemies are spawned in, and this is beacon rush by the way, and when they're overly paying attention to their right side, you have to really pay attention to empty beacons, and by getting like the 4th beacon sometimes can just seal the win. Now instead of waiting for this player to kind of approach me, because I don't know what that player is running, I had to kind of see, and obviously that was a Scorpion, and I immediately go out because I want to be fighting not near my beacon that I'm defending, since Scorpion can just teleport near me, kill me, and get my beacon. So my advantageous position with Hades against Scorpion was actually in an open area where there aren't any covers. Now this is kind of important one. I wanted to be specific. I could have titled this "Be a Team Player," but specifically protect your Titans, because there are now a lot of Titan killer builds, especially the Hawk being everywhere. There are just few robots that have as much hit points as Titans, and obviously Titans during mid to late game, they can really sacrifice themselves to defend or attack certain beacons, especially during the mid to late game. So in this case with Hades, collaborating with my Titans was just basically sealing that win. Now when you meet aggressive enemies, sometimes defending your own ground can just wear them out. So in this case, I was in my Nodens with shotguns, and I have several covers near my beacon here, and as you can see, there are like 3 to 4 guys trying to approach this beacon. Luckily my teammates are aware of this situation, trying to defend our beacon here. Obviously they have to go through us to really get that beacon. I was able to knock down that Arthur and this Minos here, and another Nodens approach. Nightingale is there as well, and rather than attacking, defending this place was really a win for us, because they've lost a lot of robots just to make that attack. Now I don't think we lost any robot here, and most of their Titans were maxed as well. I checked at the end of the game. So when you meet aggressive enemies, just basically wearing them down by defending your own ground can help you win the game. So before you do anything, just make sure you understand what enemies like to do, especially check if they're aggressive and whether you need to hold your own ground to wear them down. And this is a huge factor to boost your win rate. Now sometimes you get games where you get 4 beacon capped against enemies, and they basically run you over, and they're not even full squad, and that is because no one has protected an empty beacon. To prevent that from happening, you really have to know your teammates' position. If they're overly focused on a certain position, you have to go to the other position to kind of guard it. Now in this case, I dropped in, the game has just started, and it looks like one guy was going to the left and most of them were going to the right, and I was going to the right as well, trying to pick off some guys here because I was in my laser. Now if you count how enemies kind of split from left to right, there are 3 guys going to the right, and I'm still trying to pick some guys off here, and that kind of felt strange that there were not enough guys on the right. So when I looked left, there were 3 guys trying to approach our left beacon. Obviously we only had 1 guy there, so that's a mismatch here. And if I wasn't coming back, if I wasn't defending this beacon, we would have lost this beacon, putting us in a disadvantageous position off the start. So I jumped. Once I saw my teammate was kind of sitting on that beacon, I had to go in since that guy was dying. And if you protect empty beacons, that basically prevents you from getting 4 capped. And my cooldown is coming back, and I'm able to laser this guy. And let's look at this. And this is a squad gameplay now. I'm with the 5-man squad, and I think they have full squad there. Now the same idea applies here. It looks like everyone's kind of spreading out off the start, and we only have 1 player defending this platform. Of course we can spawn in here, but it's not favorable in our position to give out this beacon. So since a random player was just protecting this side alone, and they had 3 players over there approaching this beacon, I had to kind of stay here, snipe, play mid-range, snipe a little bit, hopefully keep them back. Not necessarily go for damage in this situation, but really kind of conserve my robot's ability to use it when it's really necessary to protect this beacon, when they get close basically. This one really applies in Beacon Rush. Take turn defending the beacon that your team is defending. By taking turn in defending a certain beacon, I mean like sitting on the beacon to really trying to not turn the beacon to red basically. So off the start you can kind of see that 2 guys are approaching this beacon, and the situation can be like during a mid game when we already have the beacon and we're defending it. So be efficient around the beacon. Let 1 guy sit on the beacon and defend that beacon. Hold on to that beacon rather than 3 guys taking shots and sitting on that beacon. Have your cover, shoot whoever's approaching that beacon. And when your team can no longer hold on to that beacon, then move in with your own bot using your ability and wait for your teammates' support. And as I was sitting on this beacon, my teammates came to help me out here, and I think this was a perfect example of that, especially during the mid to late games. When the beacon counts most, you and your team can be really efficient on bots, and that will actually indirectly really help you increase your win rate. Be aggressive when enemy team has less players. Now that may kind of sound cheap, but it just means that enemies have just played way too aggressive and they have less players now. Now this kind of relates to defending your own ground against aggressive enemies, but following through that when enemies are meching out, it's best to seal the win when you can, because sometimes you get situations where you're really down on beacons because the enemy players were way too aggressive and they held 3 beacons way too long, so you would have to go for the mech and the beacon. So often I see a few players that are really hesitant even at the end of the game and lose by beacon even when enemy has less players than you. So always keep that in mind and just go for it. Just be aggressive when you can and seal that win. I think this is a better footage here when the enemy had when we had 1 more player than the enemy, and that was in my Titan. Luckily I had the brawling setup here, and I was able to just kind of knock this guy down first, approaching enemies, robot, and the beacon. So being just aggressive everywhere. So in other words, don't be too aggressive from the beginning to mid game. That might actually hurt you. So understand both sides of this. So thank you guys for watching my video. I hope my video helped you. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more contents. That will help me a lot, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.